Actor Jonathan Majors is facing the possibility of up to a year in jail after a conviction on misdemeanor reckless assault and harassment.
Now, it looks like Jonathan Majors has come out and said his own opinion on what is going on in the whole court case, and with him being found guilty of some things. This may not have been the best way to talk about things, but we're going to get into that right now. Why you guys keep watching? Subscribe right now.
It was not healthy, and that began to reveal itself over time. But there was no abuse. I haven't seen my daughter in a long time, and a lot of it has to do with this situation. It all has to do with this situation, and she needs to see this, and the hard things need to be done. But it's been hard, everything's kind of gone away.
Sympathy is a very powerful thing. It's obviously a situation whereby Majors is trying to use sympathy to get people on the side concerning this whole court case issue. But just as sympathy can also be a powerful thing, sympathy can also be very annoying, especially when you're avoiding questions. Yes, you have a family, so does everybody else. Yes, you have a daughter, so does a lot of people. I'm gonna be straightforward and direct here. When somebody asks you a question, what happened? You should know something. You've been dating this woman for about 2 years. You should know something. How do you not know what happened? Even though you may not know what happened, you should know something that led to that. Maybe a history of some actions if you're not responsible for it. Nothing just happens out of thin air because you will leave people to speculate, and sometimes, unfortunately, people may speculate and find you to be the guilty person, as in this case right now. And because you have stuck to your guns and because you have said what you said at the beginning and you don't want to come off as a liar, you have to stick to that. And how would that help your case? I personally want to believe, genuinely out of my heart, that it is possible that he is innocent. Now, the text messages definitely don't look good. It puts the narrative in a sense whereby you are obviously being abusive. But it also shows that we don't really know the full picture. Because I can easily come up with a different way and spin that text messages differently because he may have a lot to lose. I don't know. But it definitely does not look good. And this is why I firmly believe that both of them played a role in significantly affecting how they both feel when it comes to their emotional and mental stability in their relationship. But when you see signs or when you see gaps in people's statements, I'm not saying that he's guilty at the same time. But when you see gaps in people's statements, it doesn't help you. Especially if you're a man, when it comes to abuse with a woman, it definitely does not help you. Both of you can be equally in the wrong, but if somebody is being deceitful when it comes to a particular information that is held back, you're going to let people assume that you're being deceitful in every information that you're telling them.
She says inside the car, you hit her in the face, twist her arm behind her back, fracture her middle finger.
Yeah, that did not happen.
What happened?
She went to grab the phone. I held the phone. I pulled the phone back. She came on top of me, squeezed my face, slapped me. That's all I remember.
So she ends up with a 1-inch cut behind her ear.
Laceration, yes, ma'am.
Fractured finger.
Yeah.
How did those injuries come about?
I wish to God I knew. That would give clarity. That would give me some type of peace about it.
But you're confident you didn't.
I have no question.
What's interesting about the jury's verdict, it's so nuanced because they're saying you didn't intend to injure her, but the result of your recklessness injured her.
2, Majors writes, it's just fake, and I fear you have no perspective of what could happen if you go to the hospital. They will ask you questions, and as I don't think you actually protect us, it could lead to an investigation, even if you do lie and they suspect something. Jabari responds in part, I will tell the doctor I bumped my head. If I go, I'm going to give it one more day, but I can't sleep and I need some stronger painkillers. That's all. Why would I want to tell them what really happened when it's clear I want to be with you?
This is literally a nightmare. I don't know what happened. I don't know what injuries you're talking about.
The July incident, 2022, where she says you started throwing things, including a candle. Tell us what happened there.
We were in an argument. I was on the other side of the room, away from her, as I think she testified. And by my bedside table, I did a sweep, and I knocked over my candles. I completely lost my temper in that moment and threw it all on the ground. what she also said is that afterwards I wept and cried in the corner and said I was sorry and this.
It is definitely true that both parties were abusive. Jonathan Majors and his girlfriend. They both were abusive. It is clear as day. Very clear as day. But unfortunately, Jonathan, let me tell you something. Come closer, come closer. You are the one that people know. You are the one that has something to lose. I do not know whether he did abuse her or not, because it is also possible for somebody to inflict pain on themselves, especially when they're not in the best of minds and all types of drugs and alcoholic substances are involved. When it comes to speaking and knowing that you're completely innocent, because I don't believe nobody's completely innocent when they're involved in a particular situation, there's always something that you could have done that could have changed the trajectory of that outcome. I once had a situation where I was accused of something that I was innocent of. And because I knew that I was innocent, I called that girl out. And eventually the case got settled because she could not prove it, but I had undeniable proof that I am innocent. Same thing that goes here. If you want to be seen as innocent, you cannot be dancing around. You cannot be playing around with questions. I don't believe that she is completely innocent too, because they are both partakers in this whole thing. But I don't think that Jonathan Majors should spend a year in jail. I don't think he deserves that. A year in jail for something that is not really conclusive.
What happened exactly? Do you know?
No, I don't know. But she's unconscious. She's my ex-partner. We broke up. I came back. She sent me text messages insinuating as much. I stayed in a hotel last night. I came home this morning.
Of Jonathan Majors and Grace Jabari during an argument.
How dare you come home drunk and disturb the peace of our house? Coretta Scott King. You know who that is? That's Martin Luther King's wife. Michelle Obama. Barack Obama's wife. My temper, my shit, my trauma, blah, all that said, right? And I'm not saying I'm a great man. A great man. I am doing great things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in. The woman that supports me, that I support, that needs to be a great woman.
There are some who question, especially in the black community, as you're probably well aware, that people were saying, well, why was he telling this woman to be like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama? Give us the context of the conversation.
Things can happen in the heat of the moment. And a lot of people are making fun of his corny jokes with the Michelle Obama, when people are actually missing the major point. Somebody is going through something that can affect the rest of his life. If y'all want to make jokes, that's your business. And people want to call him corny, but realistically, there is some level of corniness inside each and every one of us. When somebody is not in her right, sober state, it affects what they do. It affects who they talk to, and it definitely affects how they talk to that person. Because somebody can get hurt, come home, and be completely blanked when it comes to how they got those things on their body. If she's crying and she's drunk and he's speaking to her, people cut that part out of the tape, which is very important. Which is why I say people are just trying to twist the narrative to fit whatever they believe is the truth. But we will never know what is the truth. Herein comes the fallacy of human beings, that natural bias to believe that what you believe is right. I think they're both guilty on some parts because they were both obviously abusive. And I think that in a way, when things happen, when parties are abusive, whether there's verbal, emotional, most of those things tend to show up on how the person looks physically. And naturally speaking, if a guy and girl does the same thing, it will not be punished the same way, because that's the society that we live in. It's not a fair world, it's never been. Which is why everybody must stand on business when it comes to how they treat their spouses, especially when it comes to the relationship aspect of things, and especially if your relationship is going to be out there for the public to consume. Why you guys keep watching? Subscribe right now.